I'm going to go to another question now. My son suffers with night terrors and the doctor says he'll grow out of it. Is this something I can do anything about? Yes, actually it is something you could do something about. And I'm not surprised the doctor said, it's probably a GP, and they mean well, but he probably doesn't have the specialist knowledge about sleep to be able to advise you. So it's an easy way out. Yeah, grow out of it. Yeah, thanks. So let me give you something a bit more useful than that. First of all, for anyone else listening that might be thinking, oh, what's a night terror? Let me explain what a night terror is. It's really known in toddler and preschool sort of age as a confusional arousal. Night terror technically is sort of pre-adolescent age. But still, we're talking about the same thing here. So what it is, it's when your child wakes, it's not a nightmare. A nightmare is a bad dream, and that is when, you know, something frightens you or you feel upset, you wake up from it because it makes you wake. You can go in and comfort your child and they might be a bit upset and then, you know, they go back to sleep. That's very different. A night terror or confusional arousal, the characteristics are, if you go to your child, they're likely to not really be very clear on who you are or that you're there. They almost look like they're looking through you, and that can be quite spooky for parents. Let me just tell you, as a parent, night terrors and confusion arousal, they're a lot worse for us to see than they are for the child. So whilst your child might be thrashing around, they can hit out, kick out, they can say quite disturbing things like, no, stop it, and really kind of disturbing language can come out. It's much worse for us to watch. They have no memory of them in the morning, absolutely no memory of them. They can last anywhere between 5 and 15, 20 minutes, and they can recur. You can have a few of them. They're most common in the first couple of hours of sleep. Sometimes they can happen a bit later, but most commonly they happen in the first few hours when they're in the deepest sleep. And it's the culprit of everything. A big cause of them is overtiredness. So once again, you know, if your child is having them all the time, there's a chance that they're running on a bit of an empty sleep tank. And again, my own son, he's had a few in the past. He hasn't had any for a while, but I recognise them and have been there as a parent and seen what they're like, and it's not pleasant. They don't usually scream. They can scream, that can happen, but screaming isn't a necessary feature for it to classify as a night terror. They may just seem upset. You might get some whinging. And actually what's going on is it's when the brain is kind of fighting and it's halfway between awake and asleep. So they're partially asleep and they're partially awake, and there's this kind of clash going on, which is why it causes this very bizarre look, really. That looking through you thing is quite weird. You could say something to your child and the response might be completely irrelevant, and it's because they're not really comprehending what you're saying. They might push you away. They might lash out at you. Don't take that personally. You're not really you in their mind at that time. So what can you do about it? Prevent it by trying to reduce or eliminate overtiredness, a couple of early nights, a nap in the day if they're still of that kind of age. Handle it by keeping an eye on your child. So obviously make sure that he's not going to hurt himself. If you want to go to the room and sit with him, that's fine, but you might just provoke it or, you know, agitate the situation. I would be inclined to maybe stay at the door or just outside the room, or if you have a video monitor, just monitor the situation until it passes. If you try to really, you know, reassure or break the situation, it really doesn't help. It doesn't help, and if anything, it will prolong it. So my advice is just don't intervene unless you have to. Obviously, if your child is in danger of really hurting themselves, then you might have to go and do what I call the hug hold. So that's, you know, you go to them and you get a very firm hug hold so that they feel tight and secure in your arms, and then that's where they stay until they're nice and calm. But they might push off and not like that. So the best thing to do, monitor it. Yeah, just watch it through, make sure that they're safe, and it will pass. But yeah, try and avoid it by by, sorry, just checking questions coming in, try and avoid it by making sure that overtiredness is not banking up. It's most likely to be because of that.